And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the North American Open qualifiers for Challenger League. This is the 5th Open qualifier, and this is the third match of the second Playday. So I think in total we are in the 6th matchup overall. We will have Bird and Biceps back on the stream along with Bra this time. We did see Bra yesterday if you were with me for that one. But in terms of who I'm working with tonight, I have Ted Meister on the observer role. He has been killing it all night, and I am really excited to work with him for this match as well. And on the mic with me is Omar, and we will be hopping right into this match, which will be on Clubhouse. So talk to us with your soothing voice, Omar.
Appreciate the compliment. Haven't heard my voice get called soothing before, but, I'm going to roll with it. And, yeah, we're on Clubhouse. Once again, both of these teams have a decent amount experience between them. As far as names, I instantly recognize Bird and Bicep, of course, has a little bit more pro league geared experience in the form of Avian, but most of the team players on Bra, if not all of them, have been at least in CL before, so it should be a nice back and forth match. Thatcher ban coming out on Clubhouse, something that has really just kind of become a part of the meta now. Teams will ban between Maverick, Thatcher, or Capital, and there's the last one as I bring them up as they're attacking bans on Clubhouse just to give the defense even more oomph, and it allows you to play things like wanting to go for something like a bandit trick. Now, Mav is in play. That's going to be a lot harder on that server wall, but forcing your opponents to play the Mav game, be able to use that blowtorch effectively, it can catch some players that aren't as well versed with this utility, but off guard and make them a bit slower in stuff like Mav tricking. Echo ban, also pretty standard, and last one's Mirror Meister, probably.
Yeah, I do expect to see a Mira just because a lot of teams don't like playing with it. And of course, as I say that, it is going to be a Maestro ban, so well called out from you. And that's a lot of the intel off the board of this matchup.
Yeah, Mira being in play means we can see some unique setups come out, but, it's that thing, if you ever tuned into a Pro League broadcast, which I'm assuming if you're watching these Quals, you probably have, you've heard Kickstar talk about Mira and the way she cycles in and out of the meta because, well, teams ban Mira, so they don't strat with Mira, so they never end up playing Mira even if she gets through. And we could very well see this. You can see right now the defense, they're not running it for the CCTV cache defense, so they're going to be going with their more standard loadout. Now, the Doc is a bit more unique, but he's probably going to be playing in Rafters and taking the role of the fact that you don't have Maestro or Echo, and while Maestro did lose his ACOG, Doc is kind of like a budget version of those operators if he brings the bulletproof cam, which he is. He's got an ACOG, can play range. He's 3 armor, and he brings at least 1 camera, while the others bring 2, and Echo gets to move them.
I like that, the budget Echo, the budget Maestro. I like that. But we will be going, and we will see the Mute Mozzie combo, which is something that we've seen as pretty much a given if there is a Thatcher ban, just because there's literally no way to deal with it as opposed to coming in and shooting it. Like, you can use explosives, but you're coming in and using explosives. You have to get very involved to clear out the Mutant Mozzie combo with no Thatcher. So normally when we see him banned, it is pretty much a given, and the pattern will follow for the first round of Clubhouse as it'll be Bra on the defense, and it's going to be really interesting to see what they bring out on what is widely considered the more common site now after the rework of CCTV. Of course, the other one being Church, which is something that we've seen even pre-rework of Clubhouse. If you were playing Siege way back when it was the old Clubhouse, it seems like not a long time ago, but I'm sure it's like somebody's going to tell me it's been like a year ago or something like that. But a little bit of interestingness on the wall with them opening it up. Do you want to kind of explain why they've opened up some shotgun holes on the CCTV wall?
Yeah, so, well, part of that is the fact that, as you can see, server wall got open instantly. So they're going to have the smoke be able to play some of these angles a little bit further back, be able to throw things like the smoke canisters or any C4s to deny the plant from, the safety of the other site, especially when you also have that Doc in play who's actually not going to be playing Rafters. It's the Jaeger. So Doc's in construction, and he can take advantage of any angles should the need arise. And there you can see the construction angles have been made, and now Doc, he's holding on to construction, but he's gunned down by Avian, just unable to see the thermite so high up. And, well, those long angles that he wanted to play, someone else is going to have to play them, and out an ACOG now.
Yeah, and as we get into the last a minute and 43 seconds into this matchup, it'll be a 5v4, and It is at a point now where losing the dock isn't necessarily the worst thing that can happen to you, but losing such a critical operator to your hold in terms of like actually having a gun to frag with, that is going to be pretty critical, as I don't think Jaeger understands that that drone's not muted. So Thumbus is just going to be chilling with all of the intel in the favor of the Bird and Biceps, which we did see them just now play a very closely contested and a very well played matchup against Run It Back, who is currently sitting at the top of the CL qualifiers.
And this is looking really dicey now. The Jaeger being trapped on the rafter side. You can see construction control pretty much entirely made by the Buck. Levron, though, will respond onto the Thermite, but you know, this is going to be mostly focused on construction with the guy on the server wall just kind of holding people in position if they try and deny construction side push.
Yeah,
I feel like Smoke, he's the pivot at this point on red stairs. If he's able to hold on to his utility and slow things down, that's the round for the defense. But if he does get pinched by this Sophia, that's it.
Yeah, and with 20 seconds left, the execute's going to have to come out now, but it is going to be a 4v4. The HP pretty much even as Thumbus is actually going to change that. His Bravo Dog's going to be off the board now, and it's going to be immediately refragged by Blarn, who ran in from CCTV window. And there's going to be 2 players down from the attack now. It's all up to Cry Magic on the Maverick, as Anthony's securing both of the frags here. He's going to get one right back onto the smoke, but he's going to have 2 more to catch. He's going to pre-fire into the shield where the mute was playing, but nothing's going to be there to find. Nobody's playing Catwalk. He's going to be on the stairs, and Bra are going to get it solely on time.
So I feel like that round, at least from the attacking standpoint, you know, granted the first round's a bit of a feel out round. You feel out what the defense is trying to play like, you know, how aggressive are they, what are they trying to do. But my big, you know, disappointment there is I was mentioning how they had isolated and basically got in full control of construction. They didn't need the Thermite to open construction while they already had it. And then it's like half of them tried to pivot for the more standard servers rafter side stuff without the Jaeger being clear. They lose 1 player to the Jaeger in the process. Prime Magic takes a lot of damage, and now he's off on his own, unable to help the push coming in from the construction side. And really, he could have just left the Sophia on the breach and holding the Jaeger. So, I don't know. I feel it was a bit questionable to decide to go for that sort of 2-pronged attack when they had, you know, the map control they needed to not necessarily spend as much manpower elsewhere. And we might see that change up the next time they have to attack that site. But for now, they're going to be going down to the basement. And I know you like talking about them, so walk us through the Goyo.
Well, Goyo is one of those operators that has shifted the meta, and some people would say not for the better, but basically the reason why he has changed the meta so much is because he requires so much utility to be brought from the attackers just to remove his utility, because he has 3 shields just on his own. And that is normally the entirety of a team's lineup. And even more so, because maybe 1 shield's common, and we might even see 2 shields from time to time. But 3 shields just by himself, and even as I'm explaining this, he's just going to keep them all in his back pocket, because, as I said earlier, I normally keep 1 deployable shield in my back pocket, but apparently he likes to keep 3.
The more the merrier, right? And yeah, you can see the smoke has a shield there too, so that's 4 shields for the defense right now. That's a lot of utility that really Buck or Sophia has to clear. I mean, technically Mav can take care of the shields, but then you go do that and you're very toasty Mav. And you prefer to be the one toasting things, not getting toasted.
Yeah, you will have a very toastito Maverick in an instant, as, of course, if you aren't familiar with Goyo's gadget, there are also, I think they're called the Volcanoes, something like that.
The Vulcans, yep.
The Vulcans. And what they do is they are basically a Capital bolt slammed onto the back of a shield, and as soon as you destroy the shield, the Capital bolt will release itself, and you will be on fire quicker than you can say, oops.
That was the fun thing about when Goyo first came out. You had a lot of like sledges or Mavs just hitting a shield on instinct, and then they were a dead sledge or Mav. Then people actually realized that he exists, and they can't do that anymore. But and speaking of the Goyo shields, you know, that is one of the advantages. They are placed in a position that can be had a different angle gotten by the attack, then they don't have to waste utility. And you saw that from the Buck. getting that vertical angle after they droned out the shield bottom of main stairs, allowing him to take care of one early enough in the round where that fire is not even going to in terms of choking out the main stairs push, but also he didn't have to waste a nade for it. Sophia didn't have to waste a lifeline. It's just gone, and something that Brock could have possibly positioned a little bit better, but I also think they're not too fussed about it because it does act as a form of intel that, hey, they are at least looking towards something with the main stairs.
Gone with the win, and as Lebron gonna be trying to contest towards main stairs. He's also probably going to be contesting the main hatch. I believe he has impacts. I don't quite recall. My memory isn't serving me at the moment. But he is just, Avian rather, is just going to be able to catch Lebron, as he is going to get the Maverick, who, in a very foolish... I don't know what just happened there. If I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I'm just explaining something that my brain can't comprehend. You're just walking down the main hallway with somebody Maverick, like... Do you not expect them? I don't know. I'm sorry. I literally can't comprehend what just happened. And it is what it is. Maybe this is just next level play. And as the IQ trying to catch the rotative Thumbus, this is going to be a flurry of kills as Bravo Dog able to secure the double. It's now going to be Anthony on the flank. This is the second flank in a row. The diffuser is going to go down now as Anthony is going to finish the pick on Avian. And it's going to be the Buck who decided to stay upstairs, securing the pick. Zoinkers on Anthony. Very well played from... Birds and Biceps, as they're able to secure the second attacking round onto Clubhouse, which, talk to me a little bit about Clubhouse and why getting 2 rounds in a row on the attack might be a little bit concerning for the defense.
Well, at least for the defense, they didn't get 2 rounds in a row. I know your brain got fried from that whole mess with the Mav, and I don't blame you one bit. But yeah, I mean, if they did manage to get 2 rounds in a row attack, like I said at the beginning, these defender bans, while Mav in play does help the attack a lot. Like a lot. It's still not necessarily a situation where you want both your primary sites on really any map, especially something that is considered defender favored, to both fall instantly. So as far as that last round went, where the attack was able to take it, you know, it came down to 2 things. One, they first started, you know, trying to go for some sort of church execute, and the Mav, I think, was trying to trick the wall so that they could open it up with the Buck and push into church, and that caused his own death as the Goyo flanked up and then was immediately picked off and really should have died earlier. But after they picked off that Goyo, they realized, oh, the guy holding main stairs, he's dead. And they have left what is often referred to as Buck or Ash wall there at the right next to the end of Armory, and I'm sure the spectator's going to go look over at it. That wall, as you saw there, they hit it with Sophia, and now they suddenly have an easy avenue into the back of Armory. They're able to pinch out and really just hurt any defenders still trying to play around the site, and then they can lock them all out of any potential hope for a retake. It came close because this planter was in a position where the smoke was able to get a shot and down her post-plant, but wasn't able to do it during the plant, and hey, that means the round's just not going to go your way.
I do have to unfortunately make a correction. It is not 2-0 for B&B at the moment. It is 1-1. And it's one of those things as I look down on my notes and my heart just stops because I've realized that I've made a grave error in what I just said. But now, all is solved, and it'll be Church again, which is interesting because you just lost this site, and at what point do you decide to go to Gym?
Yeah, so I think you play it once, right, if you think it was close, and in that case, they took advantage of the hole in the defense, which was that Ash Buck wall. So if they're ready for that potential style of push, either you reinforce the wall and just don't worry about it, which most teams tend to prefer, or you don't have your Goyo rotate out of position. And I think that's going to be the case here for Team Raw. So they want to try it again, see if it was just the fact that they were able to get that wall open and push in, or if there are greater issues. You know, they lose this round, 1-2 split, still not the worst. They can go back to the primary site, which they won. And then they can try and go for something like Gym Bedroom, beating this site, and still have a shot.
Yeah, although as the kitchen push starting to come out, though, Avian will lose about 50 of his health to Levron, who was playing the Goyo underneath. So the issue that I'm seeing now is there's still a Kaid there, so he's going to have to time his grenade really well at this point because Goyo's still there, and he might actually get a shot onto the Buck. Doesn't appear to happen, though, as the Kaid charge will be off of the hatch now as Levron able to get a pick on a Bravo Dog. That'll be the Sophia off the board. As the impact tree coming out now, the hatch will still be open. Levron leaving his duty as the C4 coming out, just barely missing Cry Magic, and just take this round away because it is a 5v4 now on Church, and another rush from Mex, and okay.
So they're really trying to contest with this main stairs push, and it just hasn't been working. But Thumbus on the potential flank, it looks like Zoinkers is ready for a good flank drive. They were able to catch out. Indeed, gonna be pinging out that position, but the smoke with a well-placed smoke canister is gonna make sure the planter is dead. Valk is gonna get another onto Cry Magic and bucket the IQ, and now strikes. This is where he comes down for that flank that he was waiting for. And he picks up the 2 kills that he wanted, and Armory is a very different story on the second defense.
Yeah, and it was one of those things as the aggression came out again, but this time it seemed to work slightly more into the favor of Bra. So they were able to secure their first round of Church after the third round of defense. The second time they went to Church, the first time they won Church. You guys following me? I hope so. But the kills, at least for, if we go to the scoreboard again really quick. Maybe.
He's like 5 seconds ahead, remember?
Oh, that's a shame. There we go. Thumbus with 4. But B&B, really solid overall. They have a pretty consistent number of frags between all of them, rather. And that is what you want to see if you're coming into this match, is you want to have everybody performing, although you would like to see you winning. But if everybody's starting out the match with getting kills and stuff, then I expect towards the end of the match we'll start seeing them perform at least a little better on some of these defensive sides. Because, again, our Clubhouse is defensive-sided. So it is what it is.
So, I don't know if you caught, but those shotgun holes that they made onto the server wall in that situation, that's 100% to mess with them. Because they know the Maverick's probably going to be approaching that wall, trying to get things open, try and mess with it. And if he doesn't have the wood on the other side, it just makes him that much more exposed and easier to spot out when he's going for these Mav line cuts. It does sometimes, this keeps like getting patched in and out, so I don't actually know what the state is. But sometimes it's easier to hear things on the other side if the wall has been shot slightly, and it makes it easier for the trick. But again, Ubisoft loves to patch that particular part in and out, and I don't know what the current state of the patch is. But yeah, you can see here now, as Maverick starts to try and work on these walls, figure out where the Electric Claw is, he's going to be a lot more exposed. That's why they got the IQ. She's just going to point out exactly where the Electric Claw is hidden and try and make it a little bit easier to get so the Thermite can start his job.
That was pretty funny, although there's another Electro Claw, I believe, on the left panel, maybe? I can't... Let me get really close to my screen. Still can't see it. It's probably there, I'd imagine. Might even be under the floor, which would be a very interesting use of that. But they also have the ability to Maverick trick that wall. Do you wish to express to us what exactly the Maverick trick is?
Yeah, so Mav tricking, it's... in some ways, you know, I don't think you can call it a bug, though some people will. I think it's just an intended feature. So when Mav's cutting holes into any sort of wall, reinforced or otherwise, if it is reinforced, he's going to delete reinforcements in between his lines if the lines are properly cut and if they're, you know, spread from one end to the other. What that means is for things like the server wall, if you don't have a Thatcher in play, Maverick can go up the wall on one angle and then go across on the bottom, and now everything in between his two lines goes soft, and any sort of soft breach or destruction can take care of it. And in the case of Clubhouse, that's going to be the buck. So it's a pretty quick, efficient way to open up that wall generally. I mean, in this case, it was a lot more sluggish than normal, and Cry Magic lost a lot of his health for it. But hey, ultimately they got it. What they didn't get, though, were any picks off of it, as Mex is going to take down Zoinkers, and now it's a 5v3 for the defense.
Yeah, it's not looking very good for B&B at the moment, as Levron gonna get fragged out by Cry Magic. Very well done from him. That is a pure reaction shot, because as you come around that corner, it's who can react faster. And Claw was on the center of the wall. Tedmeister, you are the clutchest person I have ever met in my life. Of course, if you aren't aware of who Tedmeister is, he is our wonderful observer. And as Jay able to get a pick onto Cry Magic, that'll be a double for him. And he's going to be testing out his crouch key. And with 17 seconds left and a 2v4, there's going to be a lot to do with not a whole lot of time to do it. As now Bravo Dog entering into Garage, rather, not going to work out as Thumbus going for the double, but Jay is actually going to be the one able to secure the pick on the Avian. So very well done as Bruh able to secure their third round on the clubhouse defense.
So, I mean, that just came down to the fact that, one, they wasted so much time on the wall. Then the IQ was immediately picked after, so there were 5 where they haven't gotten a single pick. When you have less manpower and you're just trying to go for picks in general, it gets harder and harder because you can't pinch as well. So they lost the buck shortly after as he was trying to deal with the player in construction. And at that point, it's a 3-on-5, right? Maverick landed one nice shot, but his teammate on the Thermite, I believe, got refragged pretty shortly after. And now Mav's over on the gym bedroom side trying to push for construction, and Zophia's all the way over towards garage. They're nowhere near each other, can't really get refrags for each other. They just had to hope and pray they could somehow win 1v1 gunfights and didn't get refragged in the process, and they didn't win a single one of those 1v1 gunfights.
Yeah, and that was really a good review from you. But we will be going to gym, which is the first time we've seen it this map. And I'm actually going to take the pleasure of explaining this one just because I feel so inclined. So what we're going to be seeing on gym most likely is the castle supporting the electronic tricking on the jacuzzi wall, because jacuzzi being a very vital part of any of the attack plans, just because that's a really big base to stage and execute from. And normally the XU would come into the gem site, which is one of the 2 main sites. I think it's A site, B site possibly. And basically the reason why you have castle is because then they can't get any of the electronic devices off of the jacuzzi wall, because they'd have to use their soft destruction to get the castles off. So it's a little bit of a triple layered IQ 1 billion plays, but it is very common, so a lot of teams are able to counter it at this point. So gym is one of those sites that we see go up and down in popularity and viability for defenders.
Man, I mean, when Clubhouse first got reworked, we're not going to talk about the old days of the site just didn't exist because it was god-awful. When this map first got reworked, you could actually impact trick this wall, and Maverick didn't exist. So that made Gym, for some teams, and actually for a little while in the meta, it was becoming the best site on this map, because you could just, it was like a better version of Cache, right? You just didn't have to worry about this wall. Now, Maverick makes that instantly soft, regardless of what sort of electrics are on the wall, even if you have them protected with a castle, and it just gets so much harder. And there you can see Jacuzzi Wall now opened up, and every team should basically be ready and able to play that fact. And for a lot of them, that means extending over to this cache roam that you can see, and that's where the fights are happening.
Yes, the fights are happening now as Cry Magic going to be able to reflag Mex, who got the pick onto Bravo, I believe. That was the IQ, at least. I'll tell you that for sure. But it was Bravo. The IQ now off the board, meaning that if there are any Electric Claws or Mute Jammers that are being pesky, they can't quite find exactly where they are. And not to mention the Valkyrie cameras, as it is going to be a down onto the Kaid. That'll be Anthony off the board. Cry Magic on the double for the round, and it's going to be Levron now helping Thumbus try to prevent a push into CCTV, as Thumbus is able to get a pick onto Avian, as Zonker is able to get a pick onto Levron. It's going to be all up to Thumbus now, who's just going to be chilling in cash, and it's going to be Zoinkers to win it! And Zoinkers for the double! I think that's actually the quad. I think he got 4 that round. But it was the double that we saw. Very well done by him. The game sense to start looking over and to master, just brilliant. So it's really good from BNB to secure round 2 for their attack.
And that was just a really well done pinch now onto the cache side roam. They were, yes, you know, Thumbus was able to win out a duel against the Hibana that probably shouldn't have. There's a bit of a, you know, missed shots here and there, but he gets that pick, and then Buck is able to kill the player that's rotating to try and support the Jaeger before then taking the fight with the Jaeger. And that's where Zoinkers just did so well in that round. He checked the right angles in the right order. He didn't get tunnel vision trying to hit the Jaeger and then get shot by the player rotating in to assist him. He didn't, you know, then later get, you know, tunnel vision on the construction angle and not get the confirmed kill on the Jaeger to help out the rest of his team that are focused on the actual execute. And, you know, part of that comes down to game sense. Part of that comes down to grid comms. And what mix of it is, you know, we don't know because we can't hear their comms in this situation. But either way, Just a really clean attack there from the sides of the bird and the biceps.
Do you mean to tell me casters don't know everything? Omar,
But at least we're never wrong.
tell me it's not so. Yeah, we are never wrong though. That's a good point. Which is pretty interesting considering the fact that we don't know everything. But how if we don't know everything can we know that we're not right? Checkmate, communist.
You just gotta believe.
You do have to believe. It's a belief thing. Levron, on the go-yo. Still with 3. I count him 3 shields still alive in his back pocket. Is it going to be a pre-fire through Jacuzzi wall? And that'll be about 25 HP off as Zoinkers is actually going to miss the prompt to vault. And he's going to drop right on back down as he drones out strip side now. It's going to be pretty standard holdout. It's going to be an anchor, and the only damage in this round will be Levron on the Goyo, who lost a bit of his HP through the pre-fire of the Jacuzzi wall.
I mean, that's one of those high-level things, right? Like, when you're playing at lower levels of rank, casual or something, you're not chasing to because they give you 10 points, but, like, your opponents aren't using them well. You know, half of them throw them away just droning into the side, and you shoot them. Get it. But high levels, you know how important just one kill. And sometimes you get really tunnel vision trying to get that one drone. That's what we saw with Goyo there. He wanted to get that one drone, take it out, and almost threw his life away in the process. But hey, he didn't. And, you know, that's what matters.
What is Cry Magic doing to that hatch, Omar?
Well, he's opening it up with the Maverick because it's been electric locked. So there's different ways to get those hatches open. Ultimately, it kind of comes just putting the right amount of the tool into it. You can kind of judge a player's proficiency with Maverick, how they approach and how quickly they get it. And in the case of Cry Magic there, he went for all 4 around the hatch, which is a bit of an inefficient way of doing it, as you can get it with just 3 lines. But if he doesn't need it for elsewhere, then it works out. And it looks like the real focus is the Hibana getting open this kitchen hatch. Meanwhile, Bravo Dog is going to take down the Kaid, so that's one of those TCSG shotguns off the board, and the other one is now left in the hands of the Goyo.
Yeah, so what we're going to be seeing now is Cry Magic putting a little bit of a sneaky hole, a little sneaky sneak into Dirt Tunnel as Zoinker's able to get another one onto Jay. Zoinkers, who went very large in the last round and is really putting the work in to bring his team equal at the half as Cry Magic just going to be coming down this Dirt Tunnel. Nobody seems to know he's there, but it is going to be barricaded, so we're going to find out as Thumbus able to get a pick onto Bravo Dog. And that'll be the Zofia off the board, and it's going to be a pick as Cry Magic, who just snuck down the Dirt Tunnel, is going to get the pick onto Thumbus, and that'll be the smoke off the board now as Blaren hopping in and getting the pick onto Anthony.
And that's going to be Birds and the Bees, or Birds and the Bees. I mean, that slip-up was bound to happen. The Bird and the Biceps now pulling away and equalizing at the half. Now, again, I did say, you know, before that despite, you know, the way the rest of the bands went, Maverick being on the table does give a huge edge to the attack, so this could still stay a very even contest. But it is a bit, you know, worrisome when you're going on to the attack and you don't know how to play out in this particular match to not walk away with a 4-2 split on Clubhouse. It's not the worst thing in the world. At least it is still a 3-3. And, you know, part of that can come down to the fact that Maverick just makes those top sites so much harder to defend. Because you rely so much on those walls, the Jacuzzi wall and the server walls, or in the case of really the gym defense, you also rely on the server wall in that case. And with Mav in play, you just reliably can never hold on to it if the Maverick knows what he's doing, and at least thus far, Cry Magic has shown he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and it's going to be a roam from Zoinkers now. Zoinkers, who is sitting as well as Cry Magic on 6 kills on the side of BNB, whereas Thumbus on this side of Bruh is sitting at 7 kills, which is very good because he has been having a really solid game, but when you have 2 players on the side of BNB who are doing very well, then you got to be able to, you really have to be performing extra, not just with 1 more kill. So it's kind of harsh of me to be taking away the work he's putting in at the moment. But, I mean, you have to be putting in more if the rest of your team isn't going to be coming as consistently as you are.
Man, you know, I feel like part of that just comes down to these rounds that a lot of the rounds the attack was able to win that previous match, they were just kind of blowouts. They got the initial pick, and then there was no refrag potential at all from the side of Bruh. You know, someone would die, no refrag. A couple seconds later, someone else would die, no refrag. Then a random pick would come out for the defense, and then that player would die because there was a refrag. And at that point, you know, you're looking at a 4-on-2 with the side execute to come. That's a pretty much impossible situation for defense to pull out consistently, and they weren't able to even pull that out once in this match.
Yeah, that was a very good point. But now, as the execute is, or not really the execute, but the one of the main checklist points of this attack is going to be getting an access in the kitchen and attempting to get this hatch open. But was it the C4 that came out or an impact trick? I'm not quite sure which one it was. It might have been the C4 of Mute because he was kind of over in that area. It was not the C4, but now he's going to be using the shotgun to try to get an angle on the doorway. Somebody's just chilling there. Might be able to get him, but it looks like the other player is going to be holding the angle against him. That's going to be Mex trying to get the pick on the Mute, but it isn't going to be seen until then. And Bravo Dog getting a little too focused on another player who rushed in the kitchen is going to be caught out by the IQ of Mex, and that'll be one of your C4s off the board now, as Valkyrie had already utilized hers.
And I mean, you know, that's a tough angle to be taking, I think, at that point in the round. You're trying to contest the buck, getting a bit of free reign up on top of the kitchen floor, and, you know, you're sending your Mute to do it, but he doesn't really have the best tools for it. Yeah, he has that shotgun, and those can be close-range fights, but it's not quite like the TCSG, which you normally see playing shotgun down below. You have to have them on top of your hole as you do it. You can't really put them behind, and that's why you see the buck just kind of shrugged off the damage before the Mute was taken out. And now, you know, despite what was looking decent for the defense with the attack really starved for time and map control, at least now they have the man advantage on the attack. And while they're still starved for time, they have the map control they want above. Now they just have to turn it into an... And it gets a lot easier as the backs away 8-1. But yeah, Jay's there to take down his teammate in Blarn. And now it's just a 1v4. He's just trapped behind boxes. A whole lot. It's going to be amazing, but the impact grenade's going to miss. Sophia's not. And there he goes.
Yeah, very well done from Brothers. Their XU was just a little too insurmountable for this B&B rather. I almost said D&D. We're not playing the board game, we're playing Siege. But it is going to be that the first round of attack for each of these teams is going to go in the favor of Bruh. Bruh able to win their first attacking round, and Bruh also winning the defensive round for them as the very first round of this match overall. So Bruh is very solid in the very first round of something, but whether or not they're able to remain consistent in how they adapt or show something new in some of these rounds will be the difference make on whether or not Bruh are able to secure this match.
Yeah, and, you know, I think if you're looking at birds and birds, God, I keep doing it now. Now I did it once, it's going to happen. The bird and the biceps, you know, if you look at that defense, right, the only thing they really had going was time management. That got hairy for the attack. They had relatively little time to finally start turning that into an execute. But that doesn't mean you can really sit pretty now on this next defense, playing more passively, because now the attackers have seen what you set up. All that time they spent droning to try and figure out how you like to play, where you're playing things. That time, they got it back in a sense. Yes, they're still going to have to drone. Yes, they're still going to have to figure out exact position players are in. But by and large, they know your strat now. And that just means they're going to speed it up. And that's the thing you always see with attacking teams is they go faster and faster the more opportunities you give them. So if you can't even take away that first round where you had the time advantage but nothing else, it gets really hard to start to adapt on your next go for defense.
Yes, but of course that works both ways. If the attack sees the defensive strats, the defense is also seeing the attacking strats, so they could also play into the fact that let's just counter what they did the first time and see whether or not they're able to overcome our adaptation. So it's one of those things that it really depends on the team and who we're watching and the level of play, but at the moment, it does seem that both of these teams are at a level that they can adapt when they need to. Let's go back to Liquipedia to see where Bruh is at. Bruh is at 7, and the Birds and the Biceps are sitting at 12th. So Bruh, on paper, should be winning this match, but you never know exactly what we're going to be seeing. This game is very volatile in the way that the bans can really affect things in a way that you don't expect. And it's just one of those factors that really affects whether or not teams are able to succeed.
saw a bit of a late reinforcement there come out from the Jaeger. No drone work was around to allow the Zofia to try and capitalize. But that makes me worried a bit for these defensive setups. If you're sending this Jaeger on, kind of an extensive drone clearing at most, because he wasn't really roaming up top to take gunfights. It looks like he was just making sure there was less intel available. But not having all your reinforcements in place, if he had gotten caught and picked off there, that's one of the most important walls in blue that just won't have a reinforcement. And a bit of sloppiness on the defense that ultimately didn't get capitalized on, but it does make me worried for the mindset and the comms when it comes to the defense right now. How much are they communicating? How quickly are they actually, getting across that, hey, you need to be in this position, hey, you need to be in this?
Yeah, and that was a very good string of thoughts as Bravo Dog able to get a pick onto Jay. That'll be the Maverick off the board, who is a really big factor in opening up those hatches regardless of the impact tricks. As I believe that might have actually been a C4 or an impact, just coming out a little bit premature, I feel, because the Hibana wasn't really going for the wall opening, but she has actually lost one of her X-Cairo pellets. I'm not quite sure where she used those, whether she actually was able to open a hatch with it. As Slumbus is droning out the Jaeger, the first smoke is going to be coming out, and it is going to only be 38 seconds before this match ends, and it's going to be Zoinkers rotating out before the frag grenade catches him. And a drone coming from Moto is also going to be caught out by the rotate of the Jaeger. And we're 30 seconds left, and we're seeing a 5v4. We are in for bloodbath, or the time just running out.
You can see the focus of the push is now pretty much solely on blue and dirt. And speaking of that side, the IQ just runs down main stairs, the one spot I didn't touch. Kill. Cry Magic finally shuts her down, and Avian's able to get the player flanking for blue, but Plant is going down. Avian gets another for himself, and now they know the Plant is down. Smoke easily. And while it got messy there, because Mex is a nut that found the one opening, which was main stairs, and pushed through it, they were still mostly choked out of sight. Otherwise, they had only two avenues of attack, blue and dirt, and you can see the defense, they were ready for those two particular angles. Legion and Smoke being able to pivot together quite well and just stop the attack from gaining the control they needed. That all came down to that pick on the Maverick. They couldn't open up the kitchen hatch anymore, and that had been the focal point for their attacks previously on this site.
But we do see 4 players in this matchup, or correction, 2 players sitting at 8 frags, and then we also have one at 7. So this game is really frag heavy overall. 8 rounds, that's 1 kill a round if you're just averaging it out. But of course, some of these players are going big in some rounds and quiet in others. But we will see this match even in the 8th round. So we might be in for a long one, ladies and gentlemen.
If you don't have your popcorn yet, you don't have your glass of water, go ahead and go grab it. Because this is now the danger zone, I think, for both sides. Because essentially, this means the defense, if they want to win this in regulation, they got to win on one of their offsites. They have no luxury, which allows them to avoid the offsite. Because, of course, 4-2 split. If it was 3-3, they have to win 4 rounds, right? That means you can win 2 on both of your primary and your secondary site. Well, they lost one of their primary sites, and now they gotta defend Gym Bedroom, at least at some point, if they actually want to still walk away with the win, because if they do go 4-2, 2 more rounds from this point on, it's gonna be a overtime.
Yeah, and what we are gonna see is a Mira. Now, Mira playing facing into CCTV from catwalks, which is very interesting because I feel like you can just see it from walking up the garage stairs as Blarn is going to be dropping down. That'll be the Mozzie on a little bit of a roam. And he sees a drone as whether or not he has a pest to whether or not he actually catches that drone. And it's going to be iffy whether or not, because I wasn't quite sure what his utility count was at. But we are going to see Jay starting to open up this reinforced wall, probably going for the Maverick trick that we spoke about a little bit earlier, hopefully to a little bit more success than what B&B were able to succeed with, because they put it a little too high and you couldn't vault over it. So hopefully we see something a little bit different. They did start on the very bottom of it, and that's going to be the first mirror open. Mex finding the right angle to be able to get a pretty good chunk of utility off the board.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point about the mirror that can get shot from garage, that's in large part, it's going to be up to the roamers of the mod to make sure you can't push into the garage. You needs to be playing in more of the stock, that lounge area, and be able to deny anyone that tries to go garage door that the Kayet can't take care of. It's a setup that I believe we first really saw kind of rookie use, where they would set up a mirror window on this particular portion of the garage and try and play off of it, and it didn't really work out great for Rec. G2 then did employ it during Invitational and worked out a lot better for G2, but, you know, I don't think either of these teams are G2, despite poorly G2 may have been playing as of late. And you can see the kid now worried about a million angles, and that's the thing about this spot. He does manage to land one nice shot into the IQ. That's going to bring into half the force of that shotgun.
I'm actually not quite sure who you roasted more, G2 or these teams.
I mean, hey, my team always talks about how I roast them constantly, and whenever we're watching Pro League matches, all I'm doing is roasting the players. I try and tone it down for the casts, but sometimes it
when
does
there's an
come through.
opportunity like that, you just have to take it. It's those 1 in a millions that if you don't take it, somebody else will. And it's going to be a pick for Anthony on the Zoinkers. The player that we saw playing Buck in the first half is going to be the victim of the Buck in the second half.
Defenses just get shredded. You lost the mirror window. That was probably the most important part of the construction site take. Blarn does land a nice shot onto Anthony, but not before he's able to take out his teammate, and Thumbus and Mex will clean things up. Things are looking good now for Bruh. Or, yeah, for Bruh.
Yeah, they're on the precipice. The precipice of match point. One more. And they're in a pretty solid spot. 2 players with 9 kills, both on the side of Bruh, that is Mex and Thumbus. And that'll be part of them winning. But then the other 2 players sitting at the bottom of the scoreboard, ironically enough, will have 6 kills. And while it's weird that you have more kills than the player in third, maybe the player in third was playing Legion, because on Legion, you get the assists. So, I mean, that's possibly what we are seeing.
Remember the good old days of just pinging wildly on a drone to points?
Oh, yes.
Plus 10, plus 10, plus 10, plus 10, plus 10.
Yes, that was so good. But it is also
AKA your
really,
drones got shot by teammates.
it is really hard to, like, keep your drone alive when your teammates just want to get all those free point-alones.
Yep. Yep. But I mean, hey, points are off in Pro League for many reasons. That's probably not one of them, but, you know, we can...
I mean, you still get points.
We can pray. Well, true, but they're off for the players. The players don't get to see when they're going plus 10, plus 10, plus 10.
Yeah, if
Which
only that was
actually
still a
does... Thing. Yeah, it affects some operators, though. Like, obviously, every operator is going to have to deal with that you want down some diffuser without being able to see it. Which with nades is probably the most common case of, like, they will throw 2 nades because they don't know if the first downed or not. But then there's operators like Vigil, right? Using the points can actually help you out a lot, because then you know if there's a drone nearby, instead of just relying on the visual icon of how many bars are going on down below.
Yeah, we will see the Mira coming out yet again. Last time it wasn't quite as successful as I think we would have hoped coming out from B&B, but at the end of the day, you can only do what you're what is going to work against the other team, and the other team was pretty much successful, and they opened up the right side of the wall to get the one that was playing facing into cash, and then there was really no need to take in a garage, because all you had to do was get the frags in cash and CCTV. So very well done by Bruh to kind of outmaneuver where the Miros were playing, because if you don't, you're in a really dangerous position, because the Mira is a really powerful operator and a really powerful utility if you're not careful with how you approach it.
Yeah, and, you know, speaking of the Mira allows them to now, you know, we've been talking about, you know, Maverick just makes these walls. You can't keep them closed, right? You just can't. So what's the solution? Well, you put a mirror window next to it and you just open it up, or you get it ready to be opened by leaving it soft, and then you just shoot the guys when they're trying to protest the wall, because you know it's going to get open anyway. Why even waste a reinforcement on it? And that is the approach that's being employed by the defense now, with that mirror window set up in the bathroom. And that can be a hard position to dislodge, especially when Thatcher's banned and Jaeger's still on the table. So those ADSs mean that no nades are to be spelling doom.
Maverick now opening up the wall into cash. It'll be from metal stairs, which will be a little unfortunate, because he did just electrical it, which is, I imagine, what he expected the Hibana to be going for. But nope, it's actually going to be the Maverick as the, I believe that's the Jaeger getting picked onto I can't recall, but yeah, Jay's going to get one on the Avian, and it's going to be immediately refrag. So we're going to be sitting in a 4v3 now, as Buck also going to be downed from the logistics hatch, and Thumbus is going to have to go retrieve him, but if they know he's there, a C4, but I don't think it's going to happen, because again, they do not have points on, as Levron going to be able to just walk into cash, as Zoinker is going to be the one to contest the Hibana, and 2 players with 100 HP now, and 1 player that is at 20, I believe, is what you get after you get revived. And it's going to be the smoke actually being dropped by Levron, and that'll be blurring off the board. It's going to be a 2v3, though, as Cry Magic able to get a pick onto Anthony. And this is coming down to the wire. Brad really has to make a move, because the operators that they have up are very dangerous. It's going to be the Mira now, trying to contest into Gem, but she's going to rotate off into the Bathroom. It's going to be Levron getting another one back on his Zoinkers, as Cry Magic slamming Levron off the game. It's going to be 1v1 now, and no, Bird and Biceps able to secure the pick. That'll be Bravo Dog. Ice in his veins, not even phased in a 1v1.
I mean, that's one of those situations where he doesn't know where the last player is. He's running low on time. He could take the time to run around that corner ADS, pre-fire, and hope he gets lucky. Or, you know, if the guy's not in that area, he wants to get across the room, and that's why he's sprinting. But in Siege, when you're sprinting, gun doesn't come up. Gun doesn't come up means you go down. That's exactly what happened to the Zofia.
Like, I just want to go supersonic speeds, right? But then I can't shoot. Supersonic speeds or shoot. It's a tough decision at times.
Hey, chat, you can't listen here. This is a pro tip just for my fellow caster.
Okay.
There's something that helps you with that.
What?
Play Ash.
Ash?
5-speed operator.
5-speed operator. That should be a utility. A supersonic operator. Doesn't have a gun. He just has to knife you.
They can tie it in with the Sonic movie. They like to do it.
That's
right?
true.
You know?
Make him wear all blue. Have a weird headgear.
We got the Money Heist event. Now we can get the Sonic movie event, and we can get the original Sonic, the one they showed in the trailer first.
Yes, that's the one.
They're not using that acid anymore.
No. Ubisoft. Our DMs will be open. You can get in contact with both of us.
All right, so speaking of getting contact, you want to talk through the Mute, Mozzie, Vigil, Castle, Legion lineup on the defense.
Drones be damned is what I'm going to have to say for that.
Drones
Literally
be damned
useless.
Indeed.
But Legion, the intel, in the favor of the defense, and if you're not quite sure of how to wear this, we are actually going to be in a rush. Let's just put that on hold. As Avian not getting 1, he's going to get 2, and going for the 3, he gets it down. It's going to be Mex, though, who was able to secure the kill, but is also going to get down. It's going to be all up to Anthony now in a 1v4. He's going to bring out the shotgun, and the skeleton key is not going to be there. The rush not quite working out in the favor of Bruh, and it's going to be B&B to secure match point on Clubhouse.
All right, so that rush, it's actually not as uncommon as you might think. Basically, what was partially happening from the defense there is the setup they were using is something we've seen SSG really kind of pioneer and perfect with this roam setup that relies on that intel denial and then has the castle barricade set up upstairs to help out. Typically, you do want to smoke just in case that kind of rush happens, but they didn't need it because the Legion wasn't droned out on blue stairs. Because that has been the one approach the teams have tried against that SSG strat, where they've tried to open up the hatch, quickly push in, and get that rush to work. And it's only worked for one team to actually pull it off that I remember, and that was when SSG did it against EG's room. And the reason it worked for SSG in that situation was because the smoke wasn't a smoke, he was on Mira, so they didn't have to worry about the smoke choking them out. The reason it did not work here for the attackers, despite, you know, knowing there was no smoke on the table, was because they didn't drone out a Legion on stairs who is to be the best position to just stop that. That whole mess that could have been averted just by spawning 1 or 2 people in warehouse, something like the Zofia, pop open that window while the rush is going down, and now the Legion can't deal with the players all charging in from blue. The other roamers will have to take time to rotate back. You have a castle trying to deal with 26 bullets and a UMP to stop out this rush. And it probably would have worked out. But because they did not drone out this Legion and did not know the blue stairs was clear, there was no one in position to even stop him. And he almost aced the round just in that spot.
Yeah, we will be going back to CCTV, however, and we will be going the full distance in this match. We could be stopping in regulation, or we could even be going into overtime. That's whether or not B&B are able to counter what the history books say and secure the CCTV round. Back in round 9, they lost this to Bra. I believe that was the time they were running the Mira. And the Maverick Trick revealed one of the Miras, and it just pretty much ended the round for them. But this time, Anthony's going to be opening up on the construction side. 2 operators now just chilling over there. I believe the rest of this entry is going to be into Jacuzzi, because that's what we normally see. It's one of the more common entries on this push, because a construction push is actually pretty viable, because a lot of the utility is going to prevent the CCTV wall from being open, so the construction utility is a little less.
So we saw the Pulse there in a bit of a dangerous position. He was just in kitchen. If he had been droned out, you know, they pop open that window and he's just trapped there and dies, right? But the reason he's in kitchen is to spot out if when the office side drop and push comes. And there you can see there's that one player now on the logistics hatch. His whole job is to deny that avenue to pressure construction. He wants to be able to either get a C4 or at least give the intel so the roamers don't have to worry about it. There you can see the Buck now trying to open up the construction wall, and he actually does so successfully. Crymagic is still going to be able to feed intel, but he wasn't able to stop that pressure, and that could be dangerous. Blarn, though, on a bit of a roaming flank, but it's not really going to net him anything, as there isn't anyone in position to be affected unless he gets lucky peeking up the hatch. However, no such luck for the defense as the first pick yet again goes to the attackers. Blarn does get one now onto the Hibana, but her job is done. The wall is open. I don't know if they can get through that, though, which actually could be tough. I think they can still crouch through it, but it's going to be close.
They can slither like a snake through it. But what we're seeing now is a little bit of wasted utility on the side of the defense by losing the C4s, but it's going to be another flurry of kills as Mech's just barely seeing the operator from underneath. Not going to be able to get the pick, though. Blarn is just going to be chilling under there with the pulse of Crymagic. And the plant is going down as Mech's able to get another pick onto Crymagic, and Jay rather going to secure this round in the favor of Bra. And ladies and gentlemen, overtime it is.
So that's just a case of, like, you put people on some sort of, you know, deeperish roam to specifically stop one thing. That's the construction side pressure from the hatch. But then they didn't stop the guy that dropped the office hatch and opened up construction wall. So now you had basically 2 roamers that were off and useless while the site execute was happening. And I really just got to wonder why. If you're going to put the Pulse in that position down below, you know, sure, he's giving you intel that that's happening, but you pretty much always know that's happening. Buck announces his presence when he shotguns open that wall. So even if you know the exact position of him there, ultimately when you're playing on the site, the exact position in that situation doesn't matter. The Pulse, if he's gonna try and go for that sort of roam, he needs to get something out of it, and he didn't. The closest they came was the Mozzie was able to get one person on a flank, but that was all the roamers amounted to, and the site just got overwhelmed because it was effectively then a 5-on-3 without even a single pick happening. And since the attackers got the entry pick, it just became a 5-on-2 on site.
Bird and Biceps, however, opening up the Moto hatch, and that's going to be a little interesting because we are going to be seeing a more dedicated roam, which last time, if you are really just joining us, we saw a rush come in from the Bra lineup, and it didn't quite work out in their favor, and that actually gave match point to Bird and Biceps a little bit earlier than I was expecting. Bird and Biceps were a little bit on the struggle bus there for a bit, but they did recover, and Bra, while able to secure the last round, will only bring us to overtime. This is going to be a very close matchup. We will have to go the full distance. We have a minimum of 2 rounds left to play.
And you can see again that, you know, the Mozzie, Mute, Legion, and speaking of Legion, he gets the kill onto Thumbus. That's Zofia down, that's the blue pressure gone. And this is that SSG roam coming out yet again with the exact same operators. You have a lot of drone denial that allows the play more freely around these castle barricades, and then eventually, when he's either gotten picks, burned utility, or just is getting pressured otherwise too much, he can just drop down Moto safely. The Mute and the Mozzie, they're so hard to flush out of this position above in Gym Bedroom, because there you can see it right now as the drone tried to go through, Mozzie pest in his way. you're always going to run into either a Mute Jammer or a Mozzie Pest. No Thatcher in play means you can't even remove those effectively. And actually, the drone's going to get caught by the Mozzie, so
Drone's gonna get
he
droned.
wasn't able to stop it in time. And yeah, now you can see them starting to peel. They've wasted some time in utility up top, but they're not even done yet. Now they're going to go over to the first floor. Actually, no, they're going to say, nah, I'm going to the basement. Just shut up, Caster. You don't know what you're talking about. But the Vigil, he's still on the first floor. And there's half the round left. You finally got the top floor. Well, now you have to start turning this into the other 2 floors, and the bottom one is the site. Vigil, though, is going to be almost giving his life away. He manages to get down the hatch successfully. Ibana does know that he's down the Vigil, but Bravo Dog is able to take down Mex. Ibana is able to get the confirm, so it's still a 4v4.
4v3.
4v3. I'm a liar in many ways.
How dare you lie to our viewers, dude? Anyway, that's fine. I forgive you. And the stock hatch is going to be soft yet again as Jay able to get one of those pests off the board. And it's going to be Anthony now prepping the grenade, trying to get, I believe it was the Mozzie who was playing over there in blue. But Mozzie's actually going to be rotating into garage. And there's not a Claymore there. And when there's not a Claymore, what do? You rotate up. And they're just going to leave blue vacant as a flurry of kills coming out. Avian and Blarn able to secure 2 as Levron, rather. Going to get another one back onto Blarn, meaning it's going to be a 1v3 now. 3 guns in 30 seconds. Can you do it, Levron?
Hey, channel the Spirit of Carnage. We've seen him do this on Ibana. Can Levron do this? It's not going to look great as he doesn't land the headshot that was presented to him in that situation. Difficult shot to land, of course, but you got to hit those shots. You're going to clutch up a 1v3 with 16 seconds left on the clock. At this point, you can just try and send it through the wall, and that's to no avail as Bravo Dog on the mute. He's waiting for him, SMG-11 in hand, and down goes the Hibana.
And match point for the second time for this Bird and Biceps lineup. And hopefully they can secure it. They will be going to attack, which has been a long time coming. That is 7 rounds in a row since we've seen them attack. So, okay, I'm going to interrupt myself because I really want to bring this up. Cry Magic with 10 frags, Bravo Dog closely following with 9, as well as Blarn and Avian. And on the Bra side, we do have Mex with around 12. I didn't quite catch that. I wrote down earlier in this match that he had 12. But CCTV Cash, which last time we were playing this, we saw a little bit of a scuffed Maverick trick, which is a little unfortunate. It happens from time to time. And it's Mex and Thumbus with 12 and 10, respectively. Thanks to our wonderful observer, Ted Maestro. You are a wonderful human being. Very good job. But as I was saying, in terms of this site, last time we did see a little bit of a screw up on the outer CCTV wall as they were going for the Maverick trick. They went to the top part of that wall, which isn't necessarily an issue, but you have to make sure you're low enough, rather, to where you can actually get into the building. Because if you can't, you're going to have to completely rotate around, and the time you spent on that is just, you just wasted a whole boatload of time on this utility dump.
And you know, you bring up the time and the utility, and I think that's one of the big things for, you know, when we saw the side swap happen. While, you know, they weren't able to win, you know, enough attacks to win out the match outright, the Maverick play coming out from Team Grub was most of the time just better. The Maverick was very efficient, and he wasn't losing his life to Electrics nearly as much as Cry Magic was. Last time Cry Magic went to this wall, he was at half health when the wall finally was opened, and as you said, not even open enough for them to take huge advantage of. This time, though, it's not electrified, so he doesn't have to worry about it as much. He's still going to open it up and Mav trick it because they don't want to waste thermite charge on it, and they also know that the Kite could potentially trick in return. And there, you can hear the Kite charge go off for said trick. But since the top portion of the wall was done, the Maverick shouldn't be taking as much damage this time around.
Yeah, we did hear the Kai charge, but I think the Maverick trick was a little bit more successful. It's not quite there yet, but it is really close. There he goes. Zunker's able to open up that wall with his skeleton key. And now it's going to be a 5v5 with 1 minute down off of this round. And the Val cam? What cam is that? Is that a default cam that they just left alive? Oh, that is unfortunate. That is definitely not what you want to see at this point. They do get the jacuzzi cam down, but I think that was the main gate cam that was still up. So hopefully they're able to secure that cam and be a little bit more mysterious in their movements, because they were pretty much just broadcasting it to everybody. Is that cam still up? Let's hard to see. I think it
It's
is.
finally shot. Maybe. I think it's shot.
I'm sure
at this
Ted
point.
Meister will tell us because we're being pretty silly at the moment.
No, and I mean, to your point about default cams, wow. Okay, I wanted to talk about default cams, but Mech's taking advantage of the long angles, getting to play it this time because it didn't get shot through construction window the last time we tried to hold this angle. Yeah, good job, Doc, not giving up your life so the strat can actually work out as you needed it to. But as I was trying to say about default cams, that's something that every team, they got to be putting into their opening
And that cam was
checklist.
up,
They
by
need
the
to
way.
be. Wow. So yeah, you need to know during the spawns who's getting what cam, when, where, and how. And just like checklist, it's a checklist to get this Jaeger out. Dump your utility, burn his ADSs, and try and land the nade. Unfortunately, nade not landed, and Thermite not ready to pick him up when he moved. But Cry Magic, he's there with the gun, and there goes the Jaeger playing on the rafters. He's going to take a lot of damage playing, but he is still alive, and that's going to be huge for the Birds and the Biceps as they go for this final push.
But Levron on the flank, able to get one onto Blarn. With 20 seconds left, they're going to have to do something now when the utility's still heavily in the favor of this defensive half. I've seen clutches crazier on CCTV, but it's really at a disadvantageous position at the moment because Mech's able to get another pick on Avian. That'll be the diffuser planner down. And after a flurry of kills on the round, that'll be Bruh. And if you thought that regulation wasn't enough, we're going into the maximum amount of rounds. We will be going to round whatever it is, round 15. I didn't write any of my notes for 14. So tell us what we saw. I'll give you a little bit of an intro. Tell us what we saw.
Well, I mean, what we saw there was essentially that kind of spread out take. They didn't do it as much this time, but what they didn't do in the process is now they didn't invest anything on construction. And you know that the crux of the defensive setup there revolves around that Doc being allowed to play construction freely and essentially deny the breach any value, any existence. No one on the breach was able to push in. Every single person that tried died to the Doc. So now it's all down to your Rafters control. And Rafters control, there's a lot of long angles that players like the Kaid can hold to just deny it. And now, it comes down to, it's that balancing act, right? Either you don't want to split up your attacks too much, but you got to pressure the important parts of the map. You got to be able to read a defensive setup and be like, okay, what is the crux of this defense? What are the most important operators to take out? In the case of that defense, Doc was pretty huge on that list because he's the one that's denying you the ability to move from the breach. If you can take him out early like they did on one of their attacks and won it dominantly, you're in great shape. If you don't, well, you saw what happened.
Yeah, and at the moment, we will be going to Gym Bedroom, which is a site that we don't normally see as the primary and the overtime match point. But I think the reasoning behind this is with this mirror setup, they probably felt comfortable enough after the win all the way back in round 10, which was back in regulation time, way back when. Can you even remember that far? I certainly can. I had to write it down. But they were able to win it. Fair enough. It was a little bit of an abnormal strat. But, hey, whatever works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
I mean, for sure. And I think a lot of this is just going to come down to, again, that efficiency and speed in the initial map control that the attackers need to get. And then can they, turn that better into their executes, or are they going to let key players stay alive? Last time, there's the fact that they couldn't dislodge this mirror on her bathroom position, and ultimately the bathroom players and the mirror and the mute won them the round. The Kaid got picked off, everyone else died. It was just the mirror and the mute that were left alive. And you have tools that you can remove that position. You have frag grenades you can throw in there. You just have to be able to burn the utility that's going to be protecting the mirror first. If they're successful and able to do that and dislodge that bathroom position, I think the attackers can take this. Otherwise, they're just going to be struggling with the rest of the map before they even get to that mirror, and that's where that cash roam that you see from the Kaid is most effective, is just stalling that out.
Yes, and the very first frag and the second one immediately followed for both of these teams, meaning that we're going to be in a 4v4. HP slightly in the favor of the attackers of Bruh, but it's such a minuscule amount that it's hardly even worth bringing up. But at least at this point, there's going to be a minute left, and this entire match, this is it. The team that wins this round will get another win in these qualifiers, and will be brought 1 point closer to the closed qualifiers. I think both of them are already qualified, but as Thunder's getting a pick on Avian, the man count will teeter back in the favor of Bruh, which it is what it is. The SAS brothers still alive on the side of the defense. The first smoke coming out with 50 seconds left. A little bit premature, I'd say, but you really have to use them to deny them when you can. And if you're coming into a point where you're at a man down, you really just have to start throwing utility in order to kind of equalize things.
You can see those mute jammers having a lot of effect where they can't find these last few defenders, and the smoke canisters is just going to be stalling out their times more. Essentially, the attackers, they have construction control, and that's about it. And as the Buck dies pushing in from the breach, this Mira continuing to be a threat. They need to find a way to dislodge her, and they need quick. Plant is starting to go down, and the Zofia is protecting, but the C4 going out will take care of the planter pretty handedly, and that's going to be the round for the Bird and the Biceps. Just unable to dislodge what they needed to when it comes to Bruh, and the round goes to the defense. The match goes to the Bird and the Biceps.
Whew! That was a long one, ladies and gentlemen. And while Bird and Biceps were able to win 2 consecutive matches on this stream, that'll be it for us tonight. I do want to give a huge shout out to everybody who helped out tonight. Of course, Ted Meister, the master observer for us tonight. And, well, I was also joined tonight by Omar on the mic, who slayed it, might I add. He just totally crushed it. This production team was brilliant. It was a pleasure to work with you. But that's going to be it for us, and I will be back tomorrow. I'm not quite sure who I'll be working with. I do believe Ted Meister is a guaranteed back, but in terms of the caster, who knows? So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I have been Intrinsic. Omar has joined me on the mic, and Ted Meister has been killing it as the observer. We will see you whenever we see you. Thanks for tuning in.
Adios.